Welcome to Math Plus, where math makes sense. Fraction word problems with adding and subtracting mixed numbers. And again, as a review, here are our steps to add and subtract fractions. You write down the fractions with like denominators, add or subtract the numerators and keep the denominators the same, add or subtract the whole numbers, and then simplify if necessary. Here is our cracking math code. These are words to help you solve word problems. So the main thing in a word problem is you've got to decide which operation you're going to use, whether it be addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division. Right now, we are working on adding and subtracting fractions. So these are the words that would give you the clue to add, and these are words that would give you the clue to subtract. But just remember, adding, you're bringing things together, and subtracting, you're like taking things away. So think about that when you read a story. Here's our first example. It is a 5 3/4 mile drive to the dog park and a 3 1/6 mile drive to the pet store. How many miles further is it to the dog park than to the pet store? So how many miles further? If we go back and look at our words, we see things like how many more, or how much less. So it's going to be subtraction. But if you are not sure, you can use a regular whole number, which makes it seem a little easier. Like if it is a 6-mile drive to the dog park and it is a 5-mile drive to the pet store, how many miles further is it to the dog park than the pet store? And you can easily see that you would just subtract 6 minus 5 and say it's 1 more mile further. So that's another way of checking to make sure you have the right operation. So now that we know that it's subtraction, let's go ahead and set up our problem. So we want to subtract 5 3/4, and I'm going to go ahead and write it up and down because I think that's easiest when you're adding and subtracting mixed numbers. Minus 3 1/6. So the first thing I noticed is my denominators are not the same. So if you remember in previous videos, you can either use your multiplication strips, your multiplication chart, and look at the multiples of 4 and 6 until you can find a common multiple. If you don't have it, you have to write it. So I'm going to demonstrate that as well. So 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28. You're not sure how you have to go, how far you have to go. So just do a few, then start on the next one. 6, 12, 18, 24, 30. Oh, I already see one. So see, I can stop because I see, what did I see? Now I lost. Oh yeah, they both have a common multiple of 24. So that means we need to find equivalent fractions for 3/4 and 1/6 with a denominator of 24. And let's take 3/4 over here in the corner, and what are we going to multiply that by? A fraction, to where we get a fraction with a denominator of 24. So you ask yourself, 4 times what is 24? 4 times 6 is 24, so I have to multiply the numerator by 6, and so I get 18 over 24. So now I can rewrite this fraction as 5 and 18 over 24. Now I'm going to do the other one, 1/6. See if I've got room under here. 1 over 6 times a fraction to get a denominator of 24. So 6 times 4 is 24, so I multiply the numerator by 4. 1 times 4 is 4, so I get 4 over 24. So now I can rewrite this number as 3 and 4 over 24. And we are subtracting. So just like subtracting whole numbers, we want to start over here with the fractions first. We have 18 over 24 minus 4 over 24. Let me go back to my green. We know our denominators stay the same, and we subtract the numerators. So 18 minus 4 is 14. 5 minus 3 is 2. So here's our answer. I want to put it up here. 2 and 14 over 24. Now remember, we always want to simplify our answer. And right away, we notice that 14 over 24, those are both even numbers. So we can take 14 over 24 and divide it by 2 over 2, and we get 7 over 12. So we can reduce this or simplify this answer to 2 and 7/12. And so that's the answer. So remember, when you're doing a story problem, you have to have the right operation. You have to make sure with mixed numbers that you have like denominators, then add or subtract, and then always simplify your answer. On Monday, Mark walked 4 2/5 miles, and on Friday, he walked 3 7/10 miles. How many miles has he walked in total for the week? Almost all the time when you see in total, that tells you that you're going to add. So let's go ahead and set up our problem. 4 2/5 plus 3 7/10. Now, I right away know that I need to have like denominators. But if I look at 2/5, I easily see that I can change that to an equivalent fraction of 10 with the denominator of 10. All I have to do is multiply it over here on the corner. I'll do it. 2/5 times 2 over 2 equals 4/10. So I don't have to change the other one. So now I can rewrite this as 4 4/10 plus 3 7/10. And just the way we add whole numbers, we start on the far right here, and we're going to add 4/10 and 7/10. And you remember, we keep the denominator the same, add the numerators, so we get 11/10. 4 plus 3 is 7. Okay, but now we got to look at this answer because we're not done yet. Our answer is 7 11/10. Well, we know by looking at this that this is an improper fraction. So we can change 11/10 into a mixed number. So let's do that. Let's see down here. 11 over 10. 10 divides into 11 one time, and there's 1 left over, and we put that over 10. So when we change 11/10 into a mixed number, that's what we get. So we can add the 1 to the 7 and say our final answer is 8 1/10. Again, that's reducing and simplifying our answer when we add and subtract mixed numbers in word problems.